Good morning, everyone. So, today in our English literature, we are going to start the short story, which is left out in our syllabus, that is Indigo by Satyajit Ray. Now, indigo has the word indigo actually refers to a revolution, indigo revolution, back when the Gandhian principles were very much prevalent in our country. It was a time of revolution when the indigo revolt started, if you can remember, where laborers and peasants were forced to grow indigo in their farmlands by the Britishers, and that was a time when the peasants and laborers were oppressed, were tortured very cruelly by the Britishers. This led to many Bengal farmers losing their lands also, and many of them losing their lives, property. So it was a great massacre in the history of Bengal, this Indigo revolt. Okay, and this was due to the fact because of the greed and excessive greed of the British colonialists. Okay, so this was the background of the historical background of the story, but we find the story which is located or which is set in the modern times. Okay, the main protagonist is Aniruddha, who is a 20-year-old bachelor and he lives in Calcutta, and his English is very good, so that is why he has got a job as a in the advertising due to his fluent English. Okay, so he was actually born in a village called Mongir, and he had a older brother also. Their father had died when Aniruddha was 16, and so he and his mother moved to Calcutta where he studied at the St. Xavier's College, and then he was doing the job. Okay, so since he was working in an advertising agency, so he always was used to writing write-ups and all, and in the process he actually came across an article about the indigo plantations in the 19th century in Bengal and Bihar. So he got himself aware of the conditions of that time. So in the meantime, Aniruddha always wanted to escape from the hustle and bustle of the city. He did not love to stay in the chaos and the confusion and the hurly-burly of the city life. So sometimes he would just go away from it in order to have his mental peace of mind. So in order, as a desire to get away from this noisy, hectic city, one of his former classmates, that is friend Pramod, actually invited him to visit a village in Dumka, where, as he was working in the forest department over there. So Aniruddha, accepting the invitation, he went on his journey to Dumka, which was quite at a distance, around 200 miles away, and he wished to drive along the whole road. So, as he was preparing to leave on the day of his journey, he started quite late. Then while on the way, he encountered a thunderstorm. He lost his way. He again came back, and in the process, his car broke down. And then he was being helped by an oncoming truck driver on the way. He was a sick driver, and then again he lost his way, and again he backtracked, and he came across a dark bungalow. That dark bungalow, by that time he didn't reach Dumka as such, but before reaching only, he wanted to spend the night. He wished to spend the night because his car had broken down also, and the road was also not safe at night. So that is why he found a dark bungalow on the way, which was quite at a very secluded spot. And there a strong mustached person and his wife helped Aniruddha to stay for the night. Now, in that dark bungalow, the setting of the dark bungalow itself revealed that it was set up during the British era, and the caretaker of that dark bungalow told him that it belonged to an old indigo planter whose factory was nearby. So Aniruddha, while listening to this story, he was just spending the night, and he went off to sleep, and he just worried about his car on the road. While during the night, he was suddenly awakened by a scratching at his door, realizing it was a hound's howl. Hound means it was a wild dog, okay? But then he found that his watch and suitcase were gone. His hands seemed pale. His voice was English and his clothes had changed. So, whose voice? This transformation happened with Aniruddha himself, and in the dead of the night, he realized his transformation while being very conscious about it. Though his mind was his own, his body was acting independently. So, despite being quite conscious during the night that he was about to sleep, and then he encountered this experience, he understood that he was having his own mind, but his body was acting differently. He uncontrollably began writing a letter dated April 27, 1968. So, all of a sudden, he started writing a letter way back during the 1960s, and he wrote, fearing his impending death and regretting his greed and unfairness towards his family. He wished to be buried with his wife and son and was worried for his dog Rex's fate. Then he suddenly shot the dog dead. So, all these activities he actually encountered while facing that split identity when he considered himself as a Britisher. Okay, so as a Britisher, he wrote that letter where he said that just because for his greed, he knew that his impending death was about too soon, and that he wished to be buried with his son. So this is the letter which he wrote, and then he shot the dog dead. Immediately after this gunshot woke Aniruddha back to normal. So he was having a dream as if, and then he woke up on the next day, that is April 20th. So again we are returning back to the modern times. For a few minutes, for a few time or a few moments, we had actually gone back to that 1968. So it is a to and fro time period where we come across, and his car was prepared and caretaker offered tea. Now, Aniruddha had a terrifying night, but the unbelievable night, but the fact that he encountered such an experience was, he knew that the moment he would say to others it will be unbelievable. Then, coincidentally, he found out that that day was the 100th death anniversary of the English indigo planter. Okay, and his own experience entirely, the supernatural experience which he had, made him understand that he was actually going through split identity the night before, and he was very much well conscious of it, and this gives the story a supernatural twist to it and makes the story quite interesting. Okay, so this is just a summary of the story. Since we don't have much time, so line by line explanation would not have been possible over here in the online mode. So just know the story a little bit, and when your classes will be conducted offline, definitely we will go into the detailed analysis of the chapter. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening.